This video is all about money and everything I learned about how to manage it well. You need to know exact numbers. No more of this not wanting to check your bank account because you too afraid to see the number. You just went out, you had a night with your friends, and you be like, dang, I didn't make good choices that night. And now you're too afraid to look at the damage. Look at the damage, bro. You need to know exactly how much money you have. You need to know the exact number to the decimal, because this is how you get situations where people are just feeling things out and they'll be like, oh, I feel like I'm saving, I feel like I'm being good with my money, but you don't even know the numbers. You don't even know what's coming in. You don't know what's going out. Go throughout your bank statements for the past 3 months. See on average, how much do you spend? How much do you spend? All you have to do is add up all of the expenses. It's only once you know exactly where the problems are or exactly what the situation is that you're able to improve it. Next step, percentage budgeting. Essentially, percentage budgeting is you're looking at your income and you're diverting a specific percentage to different things. So you might divert a specific percentage to your needs. Like a very common one, I think it's 50, 30, 20. 50, 30, 20. 50% goes to your needs, 30% goes to your wants, 20% goes to your savings. I am not a fan of keeping all of your money in the checking account. You're not able to know how much you have for a specific thing if you're just looking at the big number. So I would say split it up. Split it into percentages. Find the one that works best for you. Personally, for me, I find that I take my fixed expenses first. I take my first fixed expenses and I subtract that from the total amount that I make in a month. And from that, I'm like, okay, all of the fixed stuff that I need to live, this is how much it comes to. Like every single month, it's around this price. So I know that money or that percentage of whatever I make, that's going towards needs. And then you could divvy it up for wants and for savings. You could put the savings a little higher. You could put the wants a little higher. I wouldn't advise doing that. But this allows you to at least, you're not just working off of a fixed number. You're working with percentages. Next thing, get separate accounts for your money to stay organized. Biggest thing I could tell you to do. If you have a bank like Scotiabank, I know Scotiabank allows you to set up different accounts. Same thing with TD, because I'm in Canada. But that allows you to stay so organized with your money. If you're trying to save up for something, don't keep everything together because it's so hard to keep track of it. It's so hard to keep track of it. If you know that you need a certain amount of money for rent, don't keep all of that in one place. Separate it. Separate it out. I like to separate mine into just needs. I got this idea from a creator. His name is Brandon Carter. Really good dude. Where he has 5 accounts, 5 main accounts. One account to accumulate the money, one account for his needs, as in like everything in terms of like everything to live off of is in one account. He also has like an investing account. So like he puts a certain percentage of his income towards investing. So he separates that money from the beginning. An account for taxes. So especially if you're self-employed, you want to keep that money separate. Don't even touch that. Don't even look at that money. And then the next account, he calls the baller account. So the baller account is just the account where you get to spend it with no guilt spending. And I think it's really important for you to have that, because if you're too strict on yourself with your money, that's how you get into stages where you go on a binge spending spree because you've been starved to that dopamine for so long. But keep the money separate. Next thing, set up automatic transfers. This builds on the second point, bro. If you want to save, stop with the thing of the friction. You need to eliminate the friction, bro. Set it up automatically. I have it where literally every payday, the money gets dropped into my account. It gets dropped in my checking account. And then the day after, it immediately, this amount of money goes sent here, this amount of money gets sent here, this amount of money gets sent here. So I'm automatically saving. I'm automatically putting aside money for investing. I'm automatically putting aside money for fun. So I know exactly how much fun money I have. I'm automatically putting aside money for rent or anything. Or you could just keep the checking account for for your everyday expenses and your rent and stuff like that. But it's automatically getting divvied up. Get rid of the friction, bro. Get rid of the friction. If you can, set up automatic transfers. Get a credit card. Get a credit card at ASAP. ASAP. Especially if you're young. Like as soon as you turn 18, bro, get a credit card. Because your credit is super important when it comes to you. If you want to get a car, if you want to get a house, if you want to get any type of loan, you will need good credit. And a part of your credit is the amount of time that you've been in the system essentially. Part of it is how long you've been in the system. So the earlier you can get started on your credit, even if you just get a credit card and you don't use it, I advise that you do use it, but don't go over 30% when it comes to the utilization. So if you have a credit card that's $1,000, don't go over 300 in terms of spending. That'll help you boost your credit. And the longer that you have this credit card, the better it's going to be in building up your credit. Very simple thing. And also don't close your credit cards either. Next tip, you need a baller fund. You need a baller fund. We talked about this a little bit earlier. You need a fund of no guilt spending. I don't care what that percentage is for you when it comes to my content thing, because I'm technically self-employed and I'm an employee, but I keep them separate. Whenever it comes to stuff that I get from brand deals, when it makes from content, when I get from coaching, if you guys didn't know, I coach people to help build their hair routines. So I build it around your budget, your lifestyle, your hair's needs, all of that stuff. I handle everything for you. If that sounds interesting for you and you want someone to just take the burden off of you and just build it for you, the link for that will be down below in the description. But shameless plug out of the way. That money, I take 5% of that. 5% of that, I get to spend that on whatever nonsense I want to. And if you want to spend more money on nonsense, well, guess what? You just need to make more money. So, you need the baller fund. You need something that's no guilt so you could actually heal your relationship that you have with money. Next thing, do not use Afterpay, bro. Do not use Afterpay. Do not use Sezzle. You do not use any of those services that tell you, oh, you can buy this now. You can buy this $200 thing, but we'll split it up into 20 payments. And then you'll be good to go. The reason I tell you not to do this is because it fools you. It fools you into thinking that you have more money than you have. If you cannot buy it outright, don't do it. Don't do it. Now, if you do have the money outright and then you're thinking to yourself that, okay, I still want to split it up into payments because why not? If they don't put any interest on it, I mean, I guess it's fine. But I would say don't get in that habit. Don't get in the habit. Just pay for it up front, bro. Just pay for it up front. And if you can't pay for it up front, if that makes you sweat, then you probably should not be getting that. Next thing. This thing changed the entire way that I looked at money, and it kind of gave me a steps. And it's actually Dave Ramsey's baby steps. So I think he has 7 baby steps. I'll talk over the main ones. First thing you need to do. You need to save up an $1,000 emergency fund. I know, so for some people that sounds really outrageous, but that should be your first goal. Your first goal should be saving up some sort of emergency fund. And I'll go off on a slight tangent, right? So I think this was 2 years ago. I got rushed to the hospital. Something going on with my body. I made a whole video on that, right? But I got rushed to the hospital. I was vomiting, all that stuff. They put me in high priority, and I spent one day, not even one day, probably 6-7 hours. I had to get surgery as well. I didn't even stay there for 24 hours, bro. I was there in the emergency room, and then they took me and saw a doctor. I got surgery. Soon as I got out of my surgery, I was able to go home. Do you want to know how much they charged me here in Canada? Or at least what the bill was? The bill was over $10,000 for me to be in the hospital for less than 24 hours. The bed that they charged me, $10,000. That is crazy. Now, I can only imagine what it is in different countries where you don't have a health card that covers it completely. I was lucky enough to have, the health card covered it. You need an emergency fund for those things that pop up out of nowhere. Those things that just do not go right. Your car breaks down. Or for some reason, this thing broke in your home and you need it. You need an emergency fund. Start out with 1,000. That should be your number one goal. The next thing that he advises, now I didn't have to deal with this, and I thank God because I've been blessed. My family has blessed me. You need to focus on paying your debt. So he typically goes over pay off all the debt except your house using the debt snowball method. So that should be your second goal. But I won't talk too much about that because that's not something I had to do. Next thing is you need to save up 3 to 6 months of expenses. 3 to 6 months of expenses, full fund emergency. So you started with the 1,000, then you move on to, now that you got the 1,000, okay, if something breaks, I'm not going into debt. I'm not using my credit card to pay for it. Now that you have that built up, your whole thing is trying to extend that. This is what helped me so much when I got fired, when I got let off from my job. Remember I told you, 4 months. 4 of those months of me being unemployed, I had no income. Nothing coming in. The only reason I was able to pay my rent, the only reason I was able to pay for my food was because I had built up an emergency fund. Now, here's the thing. I had only been working at that company for like 3 or so months. So it wasn't even like I was working there for a long time to start doing this. That is just the impact of having an emergency fund. Now, mind you, at that point, I was like saving like 50% of my paycheck because I was trying to keep my expenses really, really low. But aggressively saving, you need to build 3 to 6 months. And then he talks about investing 15% for your retirement. I'm not going to go over all of his baby steps, but you do want to be investing. I would say, my personal advice, once you have that 3 to 6 months of expenses, or once you have whatever emergency fund that you want to build, once you have that built out, don't contribute to that no more. This is my personal thing. I'm not your financial advisor. So relax. But I think after that, instead of saving, you need to be investing. So I would advise going into index funds, ETFs, stuff that not individual stocks, because that can kind of feel like a gamble, right? If you don't know what an index fund is, that's basically you're taking a percentage of all, like for example, like the S&P 500. That's the top 500 companies in America. You get like a tiny slice of all of those. You get the basket, not specifically individual stocks. And those on average have like a 10% return over the last 100 years, or each year. So investing. Once you save up enough, you can save for different goals that you might want to have. Say you want to buy a car, you want to buy a PS5, or you want to buy, I don't know, GTA 6. Then you could set up a separate account and save and put savings in there. That's fine. But general saving, once you have that 6 months, start investing. Next tip, investing should be boring. Investing should be one of the most boring things that you do. I found the most success in my investing. So I use Wealthsimple because I'm in Canada. Notice that again. You want to utilize those automatic transfers. Choose what you can afford, bro. Choose what you can afford in terms of how much money can you set aside comfortably each month. Even if it's $20 a month, bro, invest. Because this is something that compounds over time. This is not even for you, bro. This is not even for you. I made it clear in my mind that the investing that I'm doing, this is for my children. They ain't even here yet. I'm trying to set them up. I'm trying to set up generations, bro. So start investing as early as possible, and it should be boring. It should be boring. I have it on automatic transfers. I'm not watching the stock markets because I'm using only ETFs. I'm only using index funds at the moment right now, just because that's what works for me. These are the tips that have helped me the most when it comes to managing my money. If you guys want me to talk a little bit more into the personal stuff and just give more finance tips, I'm okay with that. I'm not like a finance guru, but these are things that have genuinely helped me, and I think that they'd help you too. If you like me talking about these topics, let me know down below in the comments. And if you have a tip that you want to share with the rest of the class, drop it down below there too. I'm always down to learn, always down to learn from you guys, and I like to help you guys out. And if you like this video, you're definitely going to like this one. So I invite you to check it out. That's all for me. I'll see you guys in the next video.